On our morning show today from WRCO, Ben Moffitt of Crosscurrents Heritage is our guest for a visit about some upcoming fall events going on. How you doing, Ben?
Very well. Thank you, Phil.
We had you on in the spring, and we were talking about a big event that you had, the Ho-Chunk department with music and things. How did that go?
Oh, it went very, very well. The newspapers called it a momentous event.
Wow.
And certainly for my brother Bruce and I, it was both momentous and quite emotional. First time of having Ho-Chunk drumming and dancing on the property in at least 187 years. We had 130 people of all ages attend. And the performing group is the Wisconsin Dells Singers and Dance Troupe, and they did a marvelous job, very professional. Not only did they perform beautifully, but between numbers they would talk about what the dances meant and about the regalia that they wore and about how long it took to make some of those beaded items. Very impressive. And there was a sprinkling of Ho-Chunk humor thrown in there, especially by their leader, Elliot Funmaker. At the end, the dancers invited some of the audience members up to dance with them. That was very nice. And then the performers stayed around to answer questions and pose for photos. And we couldn't have been more pleased. We'll probably try to invite them back soon. By the way, you can see a 6-minute highlight film of the event at our website, crosscurrentsheritage.org.
Does that include video of you dancing then, Ben, or not?
It got cut. It ended up on the floor, I'm afraid to say.
That's too bad. But I'm sure as you hear that and you witness that, you kind of put yourself back in time, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. It's like time travel. And that's a part of being at Crosscurrents with the old buildings. It would be great if we could afford to put the wiring underground, but you really get up there, you just see buildings from the 1860s, you see across the bluffs to the river and the woodlots. It's a magical place.
For someone that might be hearing about this for the first time, can you give us a little bit of a description where you're at and what it's all about?
Sure. Crosscurrents Heritage Center is at Tippasawkee Farm, and it's on Highway 60, in Port Andrew, which is across the Blue River Bridge, just north side of the Blue River Bridge. We're the first farm to the west of that bridge. So we're between Muscadet and Boscobel on Highway 60. And the site itself is quite historic. It's a site of former Ho-Chunk and Meskwaki seasonal villages. And it's the first Euro-American farm in Richland County, because my brother and my great-great-grandfather, John Coombe, paddled down there in 1838 and settled. He came down from Muscadet, which was then called English Prairie, floated down the river, and established his farm there. And I should point out that while Crosscurrents Heritage Center is a new nonprofit organization, Tippasawkee itself has been a gathering place for many, many years. Not only have we hosted school groups and community groups going back to my mom and my grandmother, but in 1938, it was the site of the 100th birthday of Richland County. And looked like 1,000 people or so came. We have pictures going back then. And then even before that, it was a Ho-Chunk and Meskwaki gathering place in the warm months. In the winter, they would go into smaller family groups, go up into the valleys, into caves, rock shelters, whatever, to take shelter. But in the spring, they would come down and the big groups would get back together, and must have been a wonderful place for them, too.
What do they use for structures?
They would have had wigwams then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about John Coombe when he first paddled down the river? What season was it?
He came June 21st, and he had expected to find the area clear. But to his surprise, there were 100 or more Ho-Chunk there in their wigwams. John had been told that there'd been a treaty signed and they were west of the Mississippi. But as we know now, the treaty wasn't legitimate. And so John first settled over by the Blue River Bridge.
Okay.
built his first cabin there.
At that point, sure. You have some upcoming events that you'd like to talk about, including one this weekend.
Yes. We will have two public events this month. The first will be a talk by a Ho-Chunk man named Casey Brown. Some of your listeners may have heard of Richie Brown. This is Richie's son. And Casey is a filmmaker, a musician, and a stand-up comic. And seriously, this guy is really funny. He grew up in Black River Falls. His father wanted him to be steeped in the Ho-Chunk culture, but he now lives in Chicago. And I met him at our event in May and thought, wouldn't it be great to hear what life is like for someone with a foot in both worlds, the traditional world of the Ho-Chunk and contemporary America? I mean, when you think about it, we all have feet in many worlds. Some of us have our grandparents talking in our heads, but it must be especially so for someone with these deep roots in such an old tradition. His presentation is called Shuffling Many Worlds, How Being Ho-Chunk is Modern. I think that's an intriguing title.
Right.
It's sure to be engaging, entertaining, surprising, and there'll be a short question and answer period following his talk, and we're recommending it for ages 12 and up. And we announced one talk by Casey to be held on Saturday the 13th at 2, and it filled up in less than 2 weeks. So we opened a second one on Sunday the 14th at 2 p.m., and at this time we have only 5 seats open. So if you want to attend, you go to our website, crosscurrentsheritage.org, and scroll down to the old orange button that says Register for Casey Brown on September 14th. But I really want your listeners to know that we have had a lot of success in the past getting people in off of our waiting list. So when the Sunday event fills up, or if Saturday's the only time you can make it, you can email us at crosscurrentsheritage@gmail.com, and you'll be put on the wait list because you're likely to get in. I work very hard because I don't want to have any empty seats if I can help it. So I contact the people who have seats and say, are you sure you're coming? And let me know if you're not, and then I'm pretty successful getting people off the waiting list. So
when you talk about a full house there, how many people are we talking?
Well, at this point, we're very restricted because it's in the old Coombe house, in the family room. So we move our furniture to the side, bring in folding chairs, and we can only seat about 23 people. So very tight. But we're hoping eventually to retrofit one of the dairy barns so we can seat more people, but that's down the road a bit.
That is an intimate setting, though, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And it's got wonderful, I think it's walnut wainscoting, so it's a nice sound. It's very warm and comfortable.
It sounds like it's going to be an interesting talk by Casey. So not only maybe some historical value, but also a few laughs as well.
Oh, yeah. He's quite amusing.
Yeah, so we'll look forward to that on the 14th, 13th and 14th, but the 14th is the day that you've got a couple of openings yet. And then coming up next weekend, you have another speaker on the 21st, I believe, Ben.
Yes, and this will be a guided nature walk in one of our woodlots. We'll meet in the old threshing barn built in 1861, and then we'll go into a woodlot. And the goal of this is to release stress, connect with nature, refocus, something most of us can use. And this wooded area has never been clear-cut. So it's the home for 300-year-old oak trees, and you might see a red-headed woodpecker in there too. And the event is called Sensing Forest Within Us, a Walk of Reconnection. And it's being led by an experienced leader named Colleen Robinson. And what you'll do is you'll walk off and on about a total of 1 mile on uneven logging roads and forested paths. Nothing too steep. Most of the slopes are very gentle. And this event is also recommended for ages 12 and up. And once again, spaces are limited. We're limiting that to about 20 people. So you need to pre-register at our website, crosscurrentsheritage.org.
You talk about trees that old. I mean, if the trees could talk, that's just amazing to me.
Oh, yeah. And some of them have these big scars, like they've been hit by lightning. Some have dead limbs. You think it's like a life, right? And some, their children are growing up really close. And we have one directly out south of the old house. It has a big hole in it, and various times I've seen woodchucks trying to live in them. And of course, I try to scare them off, get them back into the woods. But yeah, in our woods, you'll see woodchuck holes as well, and deer, of course.
A little bit of everything. Has Colleen been through those parts before then?
Yes.
So she's kind of documented what she's going to be showing.
She's done a reconnaissance mission and scoped out what she wants to do.
So that is going to be on the 21st of September. Some other things coming up for the fall, Ben?
Yeah, we always have a lot going on there. I'm currently working on a new tour of the old house and grounds, and it's going to be multimedia, experiential, some participation. I'm going to premiere it in the spring. This fall, I'm going to try it out on some test audiences and see how it goes. Then we're always doing ongoing maintenance and repairs of the 5 old buildings that date back to the 1860s. We're fighting invasive plants in our 2 woodlots. We had a controlled burn in the spring, and then we're doing mowing and using herbicide on some of the invasives. What we're trying to do is restore 3 oak openings to create oak savanna, which was the habitat that used to reign in this part. But these days, from what I've learned, oak savanna habitat is rapidly disappearing. We're also doing outreach to the schools to see how Crosscurrents can be an outdoor classroom to teach about the human and the natural history. That's kind of our focus, the human history, the indigenous history, and the settler history. Those 3 prongs, and every season we try to have something touching on all 3. But we're really hoping to get youngsters out to this historic place. So if any teachers, administrators, school staff are out there listening, we hope they'll email us. We'd love to host field trips. Also this fall, the Board of Directors of Crosscurrents Heritage Center will be holding a strategic visioning retreat in October. And this is to chart our direction for the next 5 years. And some of those members are right now interviewing community members to find out input from them to incorporate in this retreat. Another exciting thing we're working on is a video series we're calling Crosscurrents Conversations. And we've recorded the first 2. They're going to be about 10 to 20 minutes long videos that we'll post on YouTube and our website about various topics, talking to experts. And the first 2 will be about antique tools that we've found around the place. And we'll be talking with master carpenter and history buff Roger Bailey of Muscadet. And he tells us what he thinks they were used for and how they were made. And some of these old tools actually stump him. He doesn't really know quite what they're for. Later, we plan to video Roger talking about the restoration work he's done on the old coombe house, the smokehouse, the privy, and the old threshing barn. Finally, we're always planning for our future events for the next couple of years, and we're always eager to hear what the community would like to see and hear at Crosscurrents. And it looks like we're going to be going with this events in the spring and events in the fall, and having 3, 4, 5 events each of those 2 seasons.
Do you spend the winter kind of thinking what you're going to do next?
Oh, yeah. I spend the winter in Hawaii, where I established my career and where my wife is from. But these days, it's so easy to work remotely on the paperwork side, the business side, and then my brother is here all year round, keeping an eye on the place. As well as others.
Last time we were here, we were talking a little bit about restoration and some projects and things like that. Have you made some progress on the house this year?
Yes, the house, but especially on the old barn. Roger was straightening out the privy last spring, and one of our other workman was working in the old barn, and he saw the slant in the floor. So he told Roger about it, and Roger stopped work on the privy and started working on jacking up the timbers, these big oaks, oak timbers, 18 inches across, that are still the foundation of this old threshing barn. So he dug down and put jacks under. He also did some structural work up in the loft. And you saw that ridgeline of that old barn go from wavy to pretty well straight. And we're hoping that he will have time to redo the roof this year. And then we also have some carpentry work to be done on that building and some painting. Roger has pretty well stabilized the old house. He did work in the basement, all 4 floors, all 3 floors, both attics, the crawl space. So that building is quite solid now. I could get into some of that work, but it would take a while to describe, but massive reconstruction. We were living in a construction zone for a couple of years. And this will be one of the topics of the Crosscurrents conversations.
It amazes me with those old buildings, Ben, that they had the big timbers and, all hand cut.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that. People are in a lot better shape then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you can see, and Roger found one of the tools that they use to shape those timbers. And it's handmade in a forge, not made in a factory. Maybe John Coombe himself, because he was a skilled blacksmith as well as a butcher and farmer and carpenter. Just amazing what they were able to do. And that barn, it has this, what they call it, I guess, the king beam that starts on the ends at about maybe 10 or 12 inches thick. And then at the center, it swells out to 18 inches and then tapers back down on the ends, because that's where the pressure was coming down. And people have looked at this, people who've seen hundreds of barns, and said they've never seen a barn designed this way. So we think it must be a design coming from England or somewhere in Europe.
To have stood this long,
yes,
all those buildings had to be constructed pretty well.
Oh yeah. And as you know, the windstorms that come. Roger thought that if we'd gotten a wet snow last winter, that barn might have come down. Actually, yeah, he did a lot of that work in the fall, last fall, just in time for winter. I think I mentioned that it was done in the spring, but it was in the fall.
So you got it done just in time, it sounds like.
Yeah. He also has done work on the old smokehouse. And he couldn't find the siding in the right thickness, so he had it specially milled, and then he roughed up the outside too to make it look rough planed.
If people are hearing this and are interested, do you do some regular tours where people can stop by?
No, not yet, but in the spring I'll be doing tours, and it'll be on our website, and probably they'll be small, 6 to 8 people each, and we'll just see how many people sign up, and I'll just do them in the spring and the fall. And I'm thinking I'll probably do 6 to 8 of them next year, but if there are more people interested, we'll do more.
You couldn't do it without the support of some area businesses and some grants as well, Ben.
That's true. We're all of our events right now are by donation. So people can come for free or put a little money in the kitty. And then we have 2 categories of donor for $10, super donor for $20, which helps the people who can't afford. And then we've had some very generous grants from the Richland County Campus Foundation for 2 years, and this last year from Greater Richland Tourism to help with publicity. And that's Marty Richards, of course, and the Three Eagles Foundation chipped in as well.
I'll bet when the leaves start to turn, it's just breathtaking there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's very lovely. Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to the fall. And whenabouts do you go back to Hawaii then?
I'll go back end of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll get to see all the leaves and everything.
Yep.
I don't know if I ask you for sure where the name Crosscurrents came from.
We just felt that it was a very appropriate term. For one thing, Tippasawkee is right on the river. Of course, it was the superhighway when John Coombe first came, and was the superhighway for the indigenous people. Also, it was the title of our 2003 Tippasawkee Symposium. This was a 2-day event that took place both at the Richland Center campus and then with tours of the Ho-Chunk Nations farm and of our farm. And the full title was Crosscurrents, the Intersection of Native and European Cultures in Southwest Wisconsin. So the word catches the cultural intersection that took place, and of course is still taking place, but also this sense of ideas coming together, action, excitement, fluid change. And it seems like my whole life I've been living with these cross currents, right? We think of this as a tumultuous time, but the 60s were awfully tumultuous too. And so I think it's appropriate to think of, okay, you've got these ideas clashing, cultures coming together, and it's all part of a natural process.
Has it always remained in your family?
Yes. We're the 5th generation to own it, but 7 generations have enjoyed it because John Coombe's father and mother came at the end of their lives and died there. And then there's another generation with my brother's child. Our cousins have children who have experienced it. We're still waiting for the 8th generation. It's been born, but hasn't come out to the farm yet.
Oh, outstanding. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you have a board that kind of discusses what's it going to look like in 5 years. Do you have goals or some things in mind that you'd like to see, Ben?
Sure. Yeah, we're always looking to the future. We've set up an interesting structure that we saw at the Schumacher History Farm in Waunakee, where they have actually 2 nonprofits. One, which we call Friends of Crosscurrents Heritage Center, does the events and manages we wanted to eventually take over and manage day-to-day operations. And then there's another one we call Tippasawkee Reserve, which is like a reserve fund, and we're hoping to build it up so it's an endowment, so we won't be totally dependent on donations and grants, because sometimes you get reliant on a grant and then all of a sudden they decide not to give it to you, and we've seen nonprofits go belly up. So we're really trying to build this Tippasawkee Reserve up where it can be generating enough income to provide financial stability. And in fact, this year, my brother and I are matching any donations to Tippasawkee Reserve of $100 or less. So that means if you gave $5, Bruce would put in $5, I would put in $5, and you get $15, all the way up to $100.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Uh-huh.
And you'll have all the buildings hopefully renovated and restored, but then there's always upkeep too, isn't there?
Right.
To do that as well.
Yeah.
So a couple of events coming up. Again, the one this weekend. You could still take some reservations, hopefully, for Casey Brown. How can people, again, be a part of that?
Going right to the website, crosscurrentsheritage.org. Scroll down, and very soon you'll see a button that says register for Casey Brown on September 14th. And again, if that fills up, then email us at crosscurrentsheritage@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the waiting list and be sure to try to get you in there.
Might be able to squeeze you in then as well. And then the walk coming up on Sunday, September 21st as well.
Yes, walk of reconnection, sensing forest within us. And this is on the 21st at 2 p.m., being led by Colleen Robinson, a wonderful walk into the woods.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Well, thanks for coming to see us, Ben.
Thank you so much.
Keep us posted and winter well, and we'll talk about some things next spring then again.
Thank you.
You bet. Ben Moffitt joining us from Crosscurrents Heritage Center at Tippasaki Farm on this portion of the morning show.